This unit was called Green Ice 42. It was along Deerhorn Road, which is just east of Springfield, Oregon. It was about 35-year-old stand.
In January of 2024, we had a ice storm that hit most of the Willamette Valley. In certain places, pretty catastrophic. In this location outside of Springfield, it at least took out half the stand, if not more.
Normally we harvest at 40 years old, but due to the damage from the ice storm, we felt the need to salvage the stand. An ice storm salvage is incredibly challenging from a logging perspective. You're dealing with trees that are basically like pickup sticks. They're not standing, they're broken.
At least half of the unit was on steeper slopes, 50% plus. And since it was steeper slopes and whatnot, we saw a significant amount of damage there. And at the same time, the new rules in the Forest Practices Act took effect here in Oregon. So that presented some more challenges on us internally as managers, and also our crew on adapting to those new rules and learning them.
We've been in the business of protecting streams for a long time, but now we had these additional regulations around how close we could operate to these streams. And in some cases, we had to retain any non-merged timber that was in those equipment limitation zones. With a lot of training and coaching and time on the ground with these guys looking at these different conditions, they did an excellent job of following the new rules. And with this unit in particular, we were so close to the county road that there were concerns about safety and impacts to the road.
Most of the time we like to build road a year or two in advance of a harvest, but because this was so sudden and needed to be done right away, a lot of the road building was done in conjunction with the logging. So that was also another difficult challenge, was having cutting and logging going on at the same time as our road building.
We had a lot of planning and conversations around who we wanted to log this unit because it was going to be so complex from a safety and environmental perspective. And we ended up choosing our own company operations to do the logging. We have a tremendous crew of loggers that have a high degree of professionalism and experience. Our least experienced operator on our company crew had almost 10 years with the company, and we also have an employee who just celebrated 50 years with the company. So we literally have hundreds of years of experience amongst our operators, and they are here because they love it and they want to do a good job.
The roads were built by the Weyerhaeuser roads crew here in Springfield.
Because of our proximity to the McKenzie River and the county road, we weren't able to do any yarder logging, even though it was pretty steep ground. And we also didn't want to do any hand cutting because we didn't want to risk hurting anyone with that operation. And also, it wouldn't have been incredibly productive. So we decided to mechanize, cut, and log the unit. And with the steep slopes, we decided to tether log also.
Obviously, in the location of this unit, near streams, near the McKenzie River, soil disturbance and delivery was a huge priority and watch out for us. And part of the decision to tether log this is we've found that tether logging has reduced a lot of the rutting we see out there in landscape on the steep slopes.
Protecting soil is incredibly important, especially when you're working on steep slopes, especially when you're working in the public view shed and when you're within close proximity to important waters like the McKenzie River. And so part of what drove our decision around the timing was so we could protect those soils, but also with the equipment we chose. By using our tethered logging system, it has a minimal impact on those steep slopes.
I was actually pleasantly surprised on how good it looked. You could hardly tell where they had tether logged. We were very close to the McKenzie River. There were a couple tributaries to the McKenzie River. With the new rules, we would call RELZs. And so in order to protect these, part of the reason why we put a road in the bottom was one, for operability, but for two, it helped us not have to track over the hillside as much and make it a lot easier for us to stay out of those areas and still salvage the wood.
We wanted to log the unit as soon as we feasibly could, just for preserving the value of the timber that was on the ground.
We needed it to be dry enough to where we could do road construction, but also we didn't want it to be too late into summer where that wood's deteriorated, started to dry out.
The community around this unit was severely impacted by the 2020 Labor Day fires, and so they are extremely fire risk adverse. And so that was something that was really important to us, was to manage the fire risk, not only for ourselves, but also for the public.
We got in there in early May We had enough dry weather where we were able to start cutting and getting a road put in.
We finally loaded the last log out of there at the end of July. There was significant financial risk to doing this job, but really it was the right thing to do. And so while it may not have been a true moneymaker for Weyerhaeuser, it was the right thing to do for everyone involved.
You can see all the green vegetation near the streams, no runoff problems, everything's in great shape. Unit's really clean. I think our crews did a fantastic job.
It looks better than we found it now that we're done.